Hello, everybody. I'm here with Tom Milar and Brayton Johnson from Eqvista. They are working on real-time valuations of private companies and valuations in general, cap tables, and 409As. Brayton, how about you introduce yourself? Tell us what you do.
I am head of revenue at Eqvista and run a team that interacts with all the folks that need 409A valuations, fair market valuations, various assortment of other types of and forms of valuation, as well as cap table. Essentially, anyone that needs any kind of equity management tools, we can assist them.
Excellent. Tom?
Hi everyone, Tomas Milar here, founder. I started the company with one simple mission to help founders issue stock, manage them, distribute them, and obviously get their valuation. And most importantly, we are working on financing, equity financing, and prior to that, we want to launch real-time valuation. So we would like to offer every company to be like IPO company. So you can imagine that every company will understand and see the value of their shares in real time, and they will give you multiple benefits.
That's excellent. That's really great. For those who don't know me, I'm Milo Poplar. I'm the CEO Fellow, and we work with Eqvista as our preferred cap table management partner for our clients. Our clients are mostly foreign startups who are coming to the US, and they're kind of really lost in what they need and how do they need it. So having a partner like Eqvista for the cap table and the valuation makes it easy for especially our clients who are coming from outside to get a sense of what they should be doing. A lot of the questions that we have from our clients is really what is a cap table and how does it work? So Tom or Brayton, I don't know which one would you like to start?
I can take that. You know, we have I built multiple companies. One of the most important to me was Startup R. We launched the company back in 2010. So we were managing cap tables. And back then we didn't call it cap table, we call it registrar. So you would see how many shares each founder or each shareholder has. But cap table becomes very complicated. You know, if you have two founders, it's very simple. 50-50%, like each of them can own 50% of the company. But then if you have employee stock option plans, it gets very complicated. Then you have a seed round, it gets very complicated. You have numerous financial instrument like a sales thesis, convertible notes. So that's practically cap table, and that records ownership, either current or the future, because hypothetically, employee stock option plan is something you will convert in the future. But yes, it just covers the ownership. Brayton, what do you think? What I missed?
Nothing. The one thing that I hear very often from clients calling in is they don't have a cap table on a formal platform. What they've been doing is maintaining it on an Excel spreadsheet. Well, my favorite saying is Excel is not a cap table platform. And so what we do is we migrate clients onto our platform, take a lot of the things that they've been laboring to maintain on an Excel sheet and migrate them onto our platform. Simplifies the whole process. As Tomas says, there's so many different forms of equity vehicles, instruments, managing or tracking, and then reporting to all the particular stakeholders what their vesting schedules are, how many shares have vested, how many are still to be vested, the rate. We take all that off the plate and make it easy for founders to manage it and stakeholders to track it through individual account access. But our platform also handles a lot of the tax issues like very ASC 718, Rule 701, lots of different things that help a founder manage their and their shareholders' tax implications, tax activities.
But and you know what I really like about our platform? So a simple thing as authorized shares. Authorized shares, it's something where you technically authorize 10 million shares, and the way how you can look at authorized shares is that that amount is locked for the company for future outstanding shares. So from that authorized shares, or from that basket, you can authorize shares. But what some of our clients do is that they over subscribe, over issue shares out of the authorized shares. So all of a sudden, instead of you having $10 million or 10 million shares, authorized shares, they issued over 10. So our platform is actually making sure that you don't over issue. Then we have a different best practices as obviously as a founder. The first thing what you should do when you issue stocks, there's a term par value that means almost zero. The value of the stocks, it's almost zero. So if you authorize 10 million shares, you have two founders. Each of them gets let's say 5 million shares, and the per stock value should be near to zero. So it's 0.501. You multiply that with outstanding shares you have issued to yourself, and that's the amount you owe to the company. So founders, please don't forget to pay out this the capital. It's very important for your future tax liability.
There's one thing that cap table does. It is that single source of truth as far as who owns what. That should be the definitive record of how the equity is distributed and owned. Again, as Tomas said, there's a number of different vehicles, instruments that you can apply to equity ownership, but it is that cap table should represent that single source of truth. The platform, as we've built it, you can issue stock certificates. You can digitally sign them, issue them to shareholders, stakeholders. You can share access with different individuals throughout the organization, and maybe investors as well, and different levels of access. It can be just individual access. They can only see their information, or it could be all the way up to admin access, where they have full visibility and edit rights and so forth, and every measure in between. And you can sign and upload documents digitally and officially. But again, it comes down to cap table being that single source of truth as to the equity structure of the company, the cap structure.
Milo, what about you? What do you usually see as the biggest pitfall for your clients? What's your most common mistake?
It's interesting to hear it from your perspective of what are you seeing as the problems. What we are usually seeing is very similar, but we see it from a little bit different perspective, in that they usually have Excel before they go to Eqvista or different cap table management tools.
Yes.
But not just one, but more like 10 or 15.
That's our biggest competitor. Yes, Excel.
But more like 10 to 15 versions of the same Excel. And then we kind of spend hours figuring out what is actually true, and what should we put into Eqvista, because we cannot just take the first Excel and just go with it. We kind of have to go explain to them, like, okay, so based on this Excel, these things happened. Is this correct, or are there any changes? And then if they have an ESOP, already they tell us, oh no, this person already doesn't work here, so this shouldn't be in the cap table. So first problem that we have is like detective work initially. So having them being in a cap table management system kind of helps us avoid that. So we're very grateful for that if they do. And then the other one is, especially foreign founders sometimes don't understand the difference between authorized and issued stock. So then sometimes they feel like, okay, I have 10 million authorized shares and me and my co-founder split 8 million. That means we own together 80% of the company, even though the rest isn't issued yet, right? So they're sometimes asking like, so what about the rest of the 2 million? Why can we own it? And then when it's the time, we give it to the employees ourselves. And a lot of the time is explanation of how ESOP works in the US, how you distribute it, why you should distribute it quite early before you need a valuation, a 409A valuation, because once you have that, after you get some money, it becomes quite expensive, or potentially expensive for the employees to get some stock. Brayton, you were saying in the beginning that you do 409A, and that's part of your purview in Eqvista.
Yeah.
Why is it important? Can you explain that?
It sets the value of the common stock so that a company can issue options grants to individuals, and it sets that baseline tax rate for a future gain claim on taxes. It's critical. I mean, and the sooner the better. There is an argument to be made that when you first start out, right out of the block, you could just go with par value if nothing's happened, no raises, no revenue, no nothing. We advocate for doing it earlier than later, regardless of the circumstances or the trajectory the company's on, because once a 409A is issued, that creates kind of this thing that's referred to as safe harbor protection under U.S. tax law. That 409A is not a random number. It refers to a tax code within the IRS tax volume this big, probably. But we do like to work with clients earlier than later. Even if the valuation ultimately comes out to par, there are companies that are further down the process where the valuation still comes out at par value because of different, operational issues and situations. We are invariably speaking with the CEO or CFO or the founder directly. Either they are setting up an ESOP program, or they are looking to do a special grant to a given individual. These are also foreign companies that are looking to foreign companies that operate off the U.S. soil that are also looking to grant options to U.S. taxpayers.
Right.
That's also critical. It's only valid in that context. And Tomas, well, I can also speak to one more thing before I hand it over to Tomas. There is, I would like to say about Eqvista that there are three things that we just stand out completely on. The service. We don't give you an automated chat bot to speak with. We actually throw humans in there into the conversation. Kind of a crazy thing that we do these days. The speed and price. And Tomas can talk about real-time valuation shortly. I know it's the nearest and
the real-time.
But speed and price, and I would like to think that we're unequal in that.
When we built Eqvista, we were always for clients, regardless of the tech, or regardless of rebranding the company, or regardless of the platform or any new features. Any founder shouldn't forget that you build companies for real people, and the end game is to engage your users. Whatever you do, whether you are selling, vacuum cleaner, or you have amazing SaaS company, or your insurance, or a banking loan, or better coding, mechanism platform, you always sell to clients. So for us, why we are better, why we are amazing is we care about clients. I know it's cliche, but I'm not even afraid of putting my phone number, my personal phone number for the clients, and I have a under contact us direct email, so clients we are reachable. Any of us.
Fundamentally,
That's
Tomas and I have built companies. He built the platform originally for founders. It is very user friendly. It doesn't require paralegals or people at a VC to operate it.
Yeah.
It is super usable. And our service, we are founders. We speak to founders. We know how to communicate with them. And so it shows, I mean, in how in our interactions and I believe how we're perceived by clients. I think that kind of connection really shows.
One last thought on the 409A evaluation, and I think that's quite important to understand that the 409A, it's a price which sets the price for common stocks, where you have a preferred stocks, and the preferred stocks is between the company and the investors. So, Milo, you and me, we can agree, you as an investor, me as a founder, we can agree that the stock price is $10 per stock. But the 409A has a precision formulas and different methodology which actually stipulates the price, the stock price, and these two prices, the preferred stocks and the common stocks, are usually different. So people are usually asking like, hey, so why the preferred stocks price is different from the 409A? The preferred stocks, again, it's set between you and investors. 409A, it's set by companies as Eqvista, and ACV certified with real people, valuation analysts, who crunch the numbers and gives you a report, solid report, which actually tells you the stock price. So that's the preferred stocks. They have a fair market value. Common stocks have a 498 valuation, and it's important to understand these two are different.
That's a very good point. And sometimes we get questions on if my 409A valuation is too low, isn't that gonna destroy my investor valuation if I want to raise in half a year? And the answer is no. It's different valuation. You don't have to worry that the investor is going to ask you for a 409A and then don't want to give you more money than that. It is really just for staying above the law when you are issuing stocks and stock options to your employees and contractors in order for them to take advantage of certain tax rules that are built into the Internal Revenue Code.
Milo, the number one question you just posed from founders isn't this going to impact our fair market valuation from the viewpoint of an investor?
No. And there's one very simple reason why we have the 409A. It started with the Jobs Act. It's a regulatory framework released by Obama administration, and it was a reflection on the multiple frauds in the management when the large companies were issuing stocks, the managers were issuing stocks, and the value was zero. Right, so they paid themselves in bonuses hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's how they actually bankrupt companies. So, IRS came with the idea that hey, let's have a independent companies or organizations certified to dictate or to set the value. They have to be certified. They have to have experience and so on. So that's about the 409A. The 409A evaluation. We would recommend clients to take care of the 409A every year. It's better. Sooner or later, your investors will ask you, "Hey guys, so can you get me past 409A valuation so we can see whether you comply or not?" Right? And it's important to do it at least once a year, or if there's any liquidity, even like liquidity, there doesn't have to be liquidity, even but any even fundraise, or you have increased revenue, so you should reprice the stocks based on the condition, company condition, financials.
That's right.
So for our 409 valuation, we offer unlimited. So if you subscribe with our 409A, we would never ask you to pay us additional money. And we're actually releasing our new feature. It's called real-time valuation, but we can talk about it a little bit later. Brayton, do you have any other suggestions about 409A, or I would love to hear a few more stories, because you serve European clients, right? And
Right.
The employee stock option plan, it's not well known, and we don't have the framework in Europe for that.
We don't.
So how founders are actually, how do they react to that?
There is a lot of different thinking about this from the founders. Generally, they're surprised that there has to be a valuation. Why cannot it just be €1, $1 for all the stock options that they are giving to the employees? So you've already answered that. Why that's not possible? Because then it can be used by the CEOs or the managers. So they're surprised about that, and then a lot of the founders therefore need to be educated that when you give stock options to people, they will have to give sometimes substantial money to buy the stock. They don't really understand that when compared with the European approach. In Europe, it's really usually nominal amount, so it doesn't really matter that it's a stock option. They look at the stock options more like just a restricted stock units. So that's very common. And then another difference is that they sometimes don't want to give the employees common stock. They want to give them stock that doesn't have any rights, right?
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You only get money if you exit. And so in the US, it's not really possible. It's theoretically possible, but generally the market is not doing that at all. You wouldn't be able to give ISOs, so incentive stock options through that. So no one really does it. But I've seen some European founders who requested that specifically, saying that they're going to be giving NSO, so non-statutory stock options that are being given to everybody else but US employees. And in that specific subcase, you can technically give a non-voting common stock, but it's not common. Doesn't really happen at all. But you can see through these stories how the differences are between the US and the EU. And then maybe one last thing that kind of goes into the real-time valuation that we were talking about before of the call, that you don't really need a 409A once you're a public company, right? The 409A only happens because no one really knows what the value is of your company. You need to appraise the value of the company, but once you are a public company, then the market decides. And wouldn't it be nice if we have that also for the private market? And I understand that's something that you have been building.
Yes, that's completely right. So this is our service page. Eqvista.com, real-time company valuation. And like before actually we dive, what is this? So we really back the tool with the humans. So even though it's AI powered, we still they deliver the valuation by humans. So it's a tool where you can practically see the value of your company in real time. So we have built. It took us practically. We didn't even know that we were building it. It became as a secondary product. I would say 2 years back. So this still took us, almost 24 months. We're launching it hopefully in May. You know how it is with the development, but yeah. So obviously there's multiple reasons why you should have a real time. So the real time will give any company an idea of the share price or the company value in real time. We cover both fair market value, and we also cover 409A valuation. So you will see both both values, and most importantly, you will understand the value of the company. So if you raise capital, our methodology will give you a guideline. What's the value based on different different methodologies. Secondary market. So there's even no idea that some founders should come up with a price, so they can prevent the secondary market selling their stocks under value. Obviously, liquidity for shareholders, for 9A and ESOPs clarity, and yeah, and so on. Obviously, our valuations are going to be or are certified. So we are happy to answer any Big Four letters. So they usually get from time to time we get Big Four firms to will write us a letter requesting our methodology and formulas. That's the part of the audit. So yeah, so that's about that's about the real time. So you will really see the stock price, how it will go up and down, like your company would be public. I can't really wait to see this. We are the first one doing this, so yeah, very, 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 very excited about this.
Milo, here's how to look at this entire product that Eqvista has built and is launching. Historically, I mean, any public company, you can pull up the stock ticker and price of the company is worth, the whole market capitalization. As Tomas points out, this is the first time this has ever been done for the private market. And for what other 3,000 or 4,000 public companies, there's 1 million private companies. Now these million founders or pairs of founders, however many, they can pull up their own company on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, quarterly-to-quarterly basis and track the trajectory, good, bad, and different. But it's the first real-time stock ticker for private companies. That's essentially look at this.
And Brayton, think about like you are CEO, founder, CFO of privately owned company, $50 million revenue entity. And wouldn't that be cool to know the stock price? You know, what you'll just basically look at your phone, right? And see the value, right? So you will be able to see the market comps or the peers, the signals, right? And it's very important because, even though $10 million company, the stock price can change anything. The way how banks are looking at you, investors, and even though employees, right? Because eventually, even though you are not necessarily backed by traditional VC firms, you should have employee stock option plans, and any employee with 5+ years should be part of the ownership.
And Milo,
Sorry.
A couple, if I can interject, a couple of the derivative functions out of this time valuation that Tomas was pointing out is the ability to generate fair market valuation report or a 409A valuation report pretty much on the fly. And so for companies that need quick turnaround or want immediate visibility with the same level of quality and depth that our heretofore manual evaluation process would generate, this too will follow the same product approach and report presentation approach. And meet
that's excellent. Thomas, you were saying that it's really good for the founders, but what I see is that it's really good for the employees. Like to have an employee be able to see how his share is kind of moving up and right eventually or slowly. It's really valuable for them. Keeps them motivated from our experience, and also it seems like the product removes friction when you're building a company. So that is again really valuable to everybody who is doing who's working in the company, because they can focus more on building the product instead of doing all the admin around it.
Yeah, I agree. And the employee stock option price or the motivation to motivate employees, right? I understand that that's very, very, very important. And if your company is doing well, people should see how the stock actually gain value. So yeah, gentlemen, it was my pleasure. Thank you so much for joining. We should do this more often on different topics.
We should. It was great talking to you both. Thank you, Brayton. Thank you, Thomas. And if anybody is looking to reach out, where can they find you?
Eqvista.com. Contact us. We obviously will answer the email, call immediately. That's our policy. That's our rule. And can't wait to release our real time. And even though you need any help with equity, capital distribution, we are here. And but the same for you. How your clients or our clients can reach out to you.
It's fellow.legal or you're@fellow.legal.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Goodbye,
Thank you,
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.